Hello YouTube, this is Billy. Today I was wanting to make a video to share with you guys what worked really well for me. The other night, in the middle of the night, I woke to a leak, and in my case, it was coming from the attic, and it was a copper line, okay, and coming out of the water heater. On one side of the water heater, you have the this one here. It's got the water hose valve. It's got a valve over here, just like a water hose. You can turn it to turn it on or turn it off. That's where the water comes into the water heater, and then the other line is the hot water supplying to all the different showers and sinks throughout the house. I found a leak that right down here. It appeared to be this elbow that was leaking, and so I was pretty quick to try to rig something up, and I took an old oil can and I cut the oil can, so it looked like that, and I had this underneath that and zip tied to it, and I put a notch there, and I put me a bucket down there to catch the stuff that was dripping out. And once I got the drip under control, I took some kitty litter. Works really well for when you've got a spill. It'll really soak it up and dry it up really well. So I put a lot of kitty litter all over where it was wet. I didn't want to turn off the hot water supply for the house, having to wake up and go to work, and same thing with wife and kids. As soon as I realized I had a problem, the very split second that I had a problem and I was rigging up the little catch pan to catch the dripping water and everything, I also came to my little control module here, and on my control module, I turned my temperature down to its lowest setting. That way this thing is not creating like really super hot water while I've got a leak. This thing actually boils the water pretty good, so that boiling water creates pressure, and when you've got a leak, you don't want a lot of unnecessary pressure in your line, okay? So that was the first thing I did, is I turned that, once I got my little bucket rigged up and everything, I turned my temperature down to its lowest setting, and trying to get the parts I might need, or paying several hundreds of dollars for a plumber to come out and do it, especially if you pay for an emergency fee. Before I went to the store, I needed to know what size pipe I needed. Now, what you see right now is this red line, okay? This red line where it turns into copper over there, and then same thing at the top, it turns into copper up there. Now, this red line, it was copper all the way, from there, all of this was all solid copper. It didn't look like copper. I thought it was like a mild steel or something because it was black. This insulation stuff that's on the pipe, and I just haven't put it on this yet. The insulation that was on the pipe, what it turned out to be was from the leak. The insulation had kind of started, it made the pipe look black, even though you could take a little sandpaper and lightly sand on it, or just take a sharp knife and scrape on it a little bit, and you could see that under the black that it was copper. I needed to know what size pipe that I needed to buy if I really was going to try to tackle this thing. I took a zip tie, and I tried it with the zip tie part, but I wanted to be sure I was getting a really good read, so I just cut the end of the zip tie off, and then I just wrapped it around. I wrapped it around like that, and then I took my wire cutters like that, and I put a little notch right there in the zip tie, just a little tiny cut right there. That way I could take this zip tie with me to the store and wrap it around the different sizes they have at the store. That way I was able to figure out exactly what size I had. In my case, it turned out to be 3/4 inch pipe, copper pipe that was in the house. What my buddy's talked me into is this, it's called a PEX line, PEX. I bought a 10-foot piece at my local hardware store for 10 foot. I think it was like maybe close to $20, maybe 18, something like that. So it was a 10-foot piece. these fittings that my buddies tucked me into. There's one up here. There's this fitting right here. And then this fitting right here. And another fitting like that. Now this one where it stays straight, and this one where it stays straight, they're basically the same fitting. They're just a straight fitting, where that one is an elbow fitting. This one's turning a 90-degree turn. Now, this red line is flexible, and, you know, I did my own thought process on that because, you know, if I was really hurting on money, I could have just bought 2 fittings. This red line is flexible, so I could have curved it, but I thought that for these fittings that I purchased that seem to be working really well, they're known as shark bite fittings. Shark, SHARK BITE, shark bite. They're known as shark bite fittings. So in my case, these are 3/4 inch shark bite fittings. And on this red PEX line somewhere on it, it's actually got that information on it's on the side, it's printed on the side of it. Those shark bite fittings, they were about $8 a piece, and I got 3 of them. Whenever I got the shark bite fittings out of the package, I was wondering if maybe one of them was missing a piece or something, because this one down here, which is just a straight, and this one up here, which is also just a straight, that fitting right there. So I thought I got 2 of the same thing, and when I got them out of the package, you know, the package said the same thing, but when I got them out of the package, there was a difference where one had some guts inside of it, and like a little plastic kind of guts in the middle, and the other one did not have any kind of guts in the middle, for lack of a better way of describing it. And after talking to some buddies, it's a different design, exact same, works exactly the same. So if you're like me and you end up with you know, one that looks different than the other, there's different times that these things are made. So one might have the pieces in the side of it and one might not have, like in my case. Now, when I got to the actual trying to get the job done process, which was, you know, the next night, obviously after getting home from work and everything, while I was at the hardware store, I bought this little pipe cutter. So this little pipe cutter, on the package, that this one on the package said that it could do from a 1/8 inch all the way up to 1 1/8 inch. And it's just got this little wheel thing here, this little kind of sharp wheel right there, okay? And these little rollers on this other side. And all you do is you fit it on, you just slide, you open it up, you just turn this till you open it up good, and put it on the pipe. Now you just turn this a little bit, and when it starts touching, then you just start spinning it around the pipe like this. You just spin it around the pipe. Do this, you know, turn it so that it tightens up a little more, and then go around a few times, tighten it up some more, go around a few times. Now, you don't want to try to do that process too fast, because if you do that too fast, you will actually cause the copper pipe to bend, and you don't want it to bend, especially when you're like me trying to, you know, use a shark bite fitting. You don't want to bend the pipe, you want to cut it. So you want to just tighten it a little, spin it around a few times, tighten it a little, spin it around a few times, tighten it a little more, spin it around a few times. Take your time with it. It'll happen fast enough. It'll cut it before you know it. I bought this pipe cutter while I was at the store too. I think I paid about $14 or $15 for this pipe cutter. Now, once I got home, I wanted to get started on everything. Turned off this water valve. This water valve right here. I turned this water valve off. That way, that one is not keeping this tank full. And I went back with the exact same design that was here, mainly because I wanted these shark bite fittings to get a good seal. I mean, this is in my attic with everything downstairs that could possibly, you know, be flooded if it didn't seal good. My thought process was I'd rather spend the extra, you know, $10 on a 90 fitting to you know, because if you're trying to, now yes, this red line's flexible, but I didn't want to risk it, because with this shark bite fitting, if this flexible pipe is kind of, you know, bowed like this, I just didn't want to risk them seals not getting a good seal. So I just made it exactly the way it was, except for it was with copper, and now it's with the red PEX line. The red PEX line is for hot water. So whenever I got ready to actually do the install process of fixing it and making the change, right here on my water heater, this little, it's a little pop-off valve, okay? And see this white line goes down, and it goes actually out the side of the house, okay? And there's another one right here that also goes right beside it and out the side of the house. This one is catching, if this thing ever develops a leak and it starts going into this pan, it's going to, if everything works the way it's supposed to, this drain will direct the water out of the house so that it doesn't flood the house. Again, if everything works properly. This other line is for the pop-off valve on the water heater. Okay, now you'll see how the pop-off valve is right here, and the line that we're working on is up here. Well, this pop-off valve is lower than up here, okay? So any kind of, like that boiling pressure we were talking about, any kind of pressure in there, plus it's going to drain it down to this nozzle here, okay? So when you, with the way my pop-off valve works is this little thing right here, I can just pull it so that it's straight like this. And when it's straight, exactly like my finger, I just pull straight up and it's straight like this. Then it opens that pop-off valve and you can literally hear the water going out that pipe. Now, it's only going to drain it from the top to here. So once it gets right here, it's not just going to completely drain the whole thing, okay? For me, what I did is I pulled this up to where it was like this. Like on a clock, it'd be about 3 o'clock, okay? If you go, and with the way mine works is if I go all the way up with it, it turns it back off. It's only open and allowing the water to come out whenever it's at 3 o'clock, you know, straight out. So once it drains to this spot right here, then it'll stop draining. But while I was working on it, I just left it in that position until I got all the way done. So once that was like that, and I couldn't hear no more water going through this white tube, then I knew it was safe for me to go ahead and start cutting on the copper pipe. So then I just carefully went to the lowest point first, had me another bucket rigged up right there, and I put the little pipe cutter on there, and just like I talked about, tightened it up on there a little bit, rotated around, tightened it up a little bit, rotated around, just kept that process going until it cut the pipe. And when it started cutting the pipe and I started getting some water coming out, I just had multiple water catches. That way I could easily pour the water into the bathroom toilet and then set down another one while it was still, until it just completely quit dripping out. And then once it did quit dripping out, then I finished the cut. You know, same thing, just go around, tighten it a little, go around, tighten a little, and before you know it, it just cuts all the way. Same thing with the top. Once I got the bottom cut, then I come up here and cut it up here. And then once I had both ends cut, I was able to take this entire L shape downstairs to the garage. And with the fittings I bought, I actually took a piece of Scotch-Brite, this Scotch-Brite pad that people use for like cleaning surfaces and everything. It's pretty rough, you know. I took a piece of Scotch-Brite pad and I just kind of cleaned the end of the copper tube, and all right there, the face of the copper tube, I just, you know, I didn't go too crazy with it. I didn't spend too much time with it. I just cleaned it a little bit, and then same thing with the top. Then the shark bite fitting, I just pop it on there. Now, when you pop it on there, it's going to go on pretty easy. And then you want to give it an extra little, you know, give it an extra shove to it, and make sure that shark bite fitting is all the way in good. Okay. Once you know it, once you feel like it's all the way in good, and just give it a good hard shove to make sure it's in good. And then same thing up here. I got both. I put this fitting on up here first, and I put that fitting down there on first, like that. And then I went downstairs And with the old copper piece that was here, I took it downstairs, and with the red piece, I took a hacksaw and laid the red piece beside the old one I just removed out, and created, I made a couple cuts to where it would be exactly the same as what I took out as far as the size goes. And same thing with this 90-degree elbow, and same thing with the red PEX pipe. I just took the Scotch-Brite, and where I had cut it on both ends, I cleaned it real good with the Scotch-Brite, and I even kind of folded it like this and jammed it inside there and twisted it around to get the inside edge good. Once I cleaned it up good and I felt I was ready to shove it into the 90, I shoved one into the 90 and I pushed a little harder to make sure it was in good. And same thing with the other piece. And once I had created this elbow, this piece here, this red with the little 90 there, then I brought it back up to the attic and just shoved it into that fitting. And once it felt like it was in good, I gave it an extra shove just to confirm that it was in good. And same thing with up here, shoved it in good. And once it felt like it was in good, I gave it a little extra shove just to make sure it was in good. And once I had done that and it felt like everything went well, I came back to this valve I had shut off and turned it back on. And then my little pop-off valve, I just pushed it, put it back down in this position that it was in. And I could hear the water filling up, and I watched real close with a flashlight and made sure I wasn't having any leaks. For the next day or two, that's why I haven't put the insulation back on yet, because that's what I'm getting ready to do right now. It's been several days and nothing is leaking, which is great. So I'm going to go ahead and get the insulation put back on there and taped into place to keep that insulated well. Well, for anybody this video may help, everybody be safe out there. And if you're like me and you turned your temperature down when you're done with your repair, go ahead and get your temperature setting back to the way you had it before, or your desired setting. This could definitely save people hundreds of dollars if you're able to do it yourself. It was very easy, and I wanted to share this information with anybody this may help. Well, good luck, everybody. Everybody be safe out there. Bye.